what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Sully Squad. We are officially done with football season. Super Bowl, good Super Bowl last night. I don't know about you guys, but Diego, you and I were messaging back and forth. I mean, the first 2.5, 3 quarters was kind of a snooze fest, but what an ending, though, huh?
Yeah.
Great ending. So obviously football season's over. Now it's pretty much NBA. I mean, we're going to get into a lot of Sixers. Sixers made some moves at the trade deadline. We've been wanting them to get Bobby Hield for like the last 3-4 years. They finally went out and got him. So hopefully him and Campaign helped that. And, Flyers back from the break playing some good hockey. So we're going to get into all that and much more. I got my usual cast with me here. I got my man Sean Kilrain right to my left. How you doing, Sean?
Chilling, man. How about you fellas?
Yeah, pretty good, man. A little tired. It was a late night. You know what I mean? The Super Bowl. I was up late watching the post game and all that stuff because I always have to watch the end of the season. I need to see the trophy, and even if it's a team I don't like, I still got to watch it.
Yeah, you got to see the whole festivities. Yeah.
And then right below Sean, I got my man, Mr. 6 for 6, Diego the Hammer Bianchi. What's up, dog?
What's good, guys? How you doing?
Chilling, man. Chilling.
I hear you.
Yeah. So, but like I was saying, man, I mean, what an ending last night. I want to get your perspective. I'll give you my takeaway real quick, and then you guys give me yours. But in my opinion, and I said this to both of you guys earlier. I think Shanahan really messed up. When both teams and with the overtime rules the way they are, where both teams get the ball, whether it's a touchdown, regardless. I think you have a real advantage if you kick off first, because then you know what you could do. Shanahan kicks the ball off, and I get his reasoning. He was saying that, this way on the third possession, in sudden death, that he guarantees the ball. But the Chiefs players already said they were going to go for 2. So basically, by Shanahan kicking the ball off, it forced the Chiefs to have 4 downs every time. And if Shanahan kicks the ball off first, maybe the Chiefs don't go for it deep in their own territory, because then if they don't get it, they're giving up the gimme field goal. So I kind of think Shanahan made a mistake. What's your guys' perspective? Sean, I'll start with you.
I mean, I think they could have, 49ers could have ran the ball a little more, got George Kittle involved more. He wasn't even involved, but the better team won. They had a better game plan. They executed. And Chris Jones, man, was he a force. He was getting that Purdy. But Purdy didn't look like Mr. Irrelevant. He played poise. He's got some learning still to do. But all in all, he looked pretty good, But It was a good game, Like I said to you earlier through text, want to see a good game, not a blowout. It went down to the wire, which is good, So can't ask anything more,
Yeah,
Mahomes, he is something else, man.
He definitely is. I mean, I feel like he's on the way to possibly being the future GOAT. If this keeps up. But I got a comment here. My man Dave Yorno, he says, "Hey, what's up, guy? What's going on?
What's up,
Dave? How you doing, bro?" But yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you one thing that I'll tell you one thing that Diego and I were talking about. I thought one of the key parts of that Super Bowl was when Mahomes threw that interception and the 49ers did absolutely nothing with it, because
how about that? That's it. Yeah, you didn't execute. You're absolutely right. It was 3 and out. You should score.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, dude. You leave a guy like Pat Mahomes in the game. I mean, he's going to come and get you, dude. Like, you got to
He's going
put
to
that
pick
team
you
away.
apart.
But
Absolutely.
yeah. What were some of your other takeaways? I mean, I'll tell you. Who deserves a lot of credit, and I was kind of envious, dude. How about the way Spagnuolo blitzed on third downs and got through there? San Francisco had no answer for that zero blitz on third downs, and I was just thinking to myself, like, like last year's Super Bowl, like Jonathan Gannon just sat back in zones and got picked apart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. He took full advantage of that, to get at Purdy and company, and it showed. If it wasn't Jones, it was O.J. McDuffie played great in the secondary. The game plan that him. I mean, he's an All-Pro this season, and he proved it and showed it. But yeah, they had a game plan, and if they had something thrown at them by 49ers, they solved it. They executed very well. So
yeah, how bad? I'll tell you what. I mean, obviously, I'm far from a 49ers fan, but boy, I felt so sorry for that kid, for that guy, Drake Greenlaw, dude.
Oh, to go out on the field and tear his Achilles tendon, yeah, that's a freak accident.
That was such a key injury too. Like Travis Kelce did absolutely nothing in the first half, and then like the second half, I think his over under was like 60 or 70 yards or something like that. First half he didn't do. First half he did absolutely nothing. Second half, like they were targeting his replacement, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, they Ward. Yes.
Yeah, they were targeting him like crazy. I mean,
absolutely.
Kelce was big in the second half, and I'm right with you, man. I mean, I feel like the 49ers made a mistake not trying to get Kittle involved early. Like why not?
Like, yeah.
Like why not get him? Why not get him a couple easy targets early in the game? And get him going. I mean, they didn't get him the ball. He basically was a non-factor.
Yeah.
And that's key. So any other big takeaways?
I think Jennings, man. How about that wide receiver throwing that lateral pass, back and forth, and then executing that touchdown? I mean, he was something special.
Well, what's funny? Do you think there would have been a possibility he could have, if the 49ers win that game, do you think it's a possibility that he could have been the MVP? I mean, because he literally threw a touchdown and caught a touchdown.
You know what, Joe? I thought about that during the game. I guess I wasn't the only one. You're right. Absolutely. By hands down. Throwing a pass, catching a pass, yeah. It's some people say it's easy to do, but it's not easy to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
All right, here we go.
That's all I have on it.
What's up, dude? My Wi-Fi was being retarded.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, listen. So Sean and I were just touching on the game. What was did you hear anything we were saying? Like, what was your perspective on, like, first off, did you agree with me on the kickoff and overtime? And also, what was some of your biggest moments / criticisms of, you have any criticism of the Niners with how they handled the game?
I think the game was played tough defensively on both sides. So I think both defenses showed up yesterday. Mahomes had a tough time for two and a half quarters, 3 quarters. So did Brock Purdy. You know, it's not like I know Mahomes came up at the end, but it wasn't like he was killing San Fran all game. You know, so the game was actually kind of boring for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Absolutely. First 2 quarters were like, do I go to bed or do I watch it?
Do I agree? Do I agree with you, Joe? I think you can play it both ways. You know, you could say Kyle Shanahan made the wrong decision because the way it worked out, but if Kyle Shanahan would have took the ball first, went down, scored a touchdown, and stopped Mahomes, we'd be talking a little different about it. So it's just I agree. When you kick it off, when you take the ball first, you now give Mahomes 4 downs. Why give Mahomes an extra down? That doesn't make sense to me. So I would have kicked the ball to Mahomes first because that changes decision making when you give the ball to Mahomes first. So I agree with you, but I think it's a tough decision to make, and to blame him for making that decision is tough when the game was tied going to overtime. You know, it was a good game. I feel like he wanted to put trust in his offense. He wanted to put trust in Brock Purdy. Let's go down, score. We'll stop Mahomes. Game over.
Yeah. And then another one, too. I mean, you know, if you look at the end of the game, you know, San Francisco has the ball. You know, there's 2 minutes left. It's 3rd and 4. You know, Spagnuolo comes out there with that 0 blitz. 49ers don't protect it. So then, you know, it's 4th and 4. I mean, I can't really argue with Shanahan kicking the field goal there because hey, you get the points. You go up by 3 and you play defense. You know what I mean? So I can't kill him there because, you know, I mean, I heard a couple people say, well, you know what, you're playing against Mahomes. Go for the 4th down. If you get the 1st down, the game's over. But I can't kill him for that because then if you do go for it and you don't get it, the Chiefs have a very short field to go get the field goal and beat you. And then you lose. Yeah. You know?
Yep.
So I can't kill him there. And I guess
I'll tell you one thing I do blame. One thing I do blame is the San Francisco 49ers players after the game were saying they didn't know the rules to overtime. And then if you look at Kansas City players, they said they've been talking about it all year. They've been talking about it all year, and they had 2 different meetings in the last 2 weeks about it.
Yeah.
So that tells you a lot about coaching. Who's the better coach? The more prepared coach.
Yeah, and isn't it funny too? Because like as Eagles fans, you know obviously we watched that Super Bowl versus New England with the time management. Who would ever thought that we'd be saying Andy Reid would be given master classes on time management in Super Bowls and being thorough, you know what I mean? After watching that first Super Bowl back in 2004,
tells you a lot about Donovan McNabb.
Yeah, it actually does. It actually makes you wonder if Reid was covering for McNabb.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
I feel like it tells you more about McNabb than it does about Andy Reid.
I think,
and can't forget T.O.
Right.
Like T.O. putting him out there, you know, speaking the truth. Who was the odd man out? T.O. You know, he was telling it like he's seen it. You know.
Got a comment here. Michael Kaepernick Jr. The best thing to happen, but was the way the 49ers lost. It couldn't happen to a better bunch of whiners, the 49ers and their fans. Then it got another comment. Bump the 49ers. All I heard was that they would beat Kansas City last year if healthy. Well, the Niners were healthy and more talented offensively in this Super Bowl, and they lost. Karma is a bitch. Mike, I agree with you to a point. Because Diego, we touched on this when you were backstage. Listen, I'm not, far from me to make excuses. I'm not trying to sound like a 49ers player, but let's keep it 100. Greenlaw's injury was absolutely huge in this football game.
Yeah, and Debo not being 100%.
You know, because you
and not getting George Kittle involved too, like we said. You know, but that was the key part. Greenlaw, absolutely.
That's a shame how he gets hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Because running onto the field, that's crazy.
Davey Arnold says the fumble by Pacheco on the 10-yard line after the long pass Mahomes was a key play in the second quarter. It was the only thing about
It
that.
didn't really matter because the final score says Kansas City won. The one that hurt more was San Fran, the CMC fumble on the first drive going down the field. If anything, that one hurts a lot more than the Pacheco one.
Right, but
and not only that, but you were off the 3-and-out series from the fumble recovery for KC. I mean, for San Fran, they didn't even execute. They were 3-and-out, where you're supposed to, punch them in the mouth and try to execute, but that wasn't the case.
Well, you look at it like this: the CMC fumble on the first drive and the Pacheco fumble, they pretty much even each other out. Both teams were driving, both teams fumbled. Really the biggest turnover. Actually, you think about it, 49ers lost this game on special teams in some ways. I mean, you had the fumbled punt, and the block extra point.
One that hit
that point was absolutely huge.
I'll tell you what lost the game though. Like when I was like, okay, you know what? San Fran's in trouble. Patrick Mahomes throws an interception around the 48-yard line in his own territory, and the Niners come away with 0 points.
Mm-hmm.
In the Super Bowl against arguably the best quarterback of all time, you got to get points there. And right there, I was like, okay, they're gonna keep Mahomes in this game, and Mahomes is eventually gonna get some points. And that's where I lied bet the Chiefs plus 220.
Yeah, Stacey Baker with exactly, and then Stacey Baker with exactly that point. The missed extra point was absolutely huge. Yeah, because I mean that changed the whole complexion of the game because they kick that extra point. Kansas City's got to get a touchdown. It changes play call and it changes everything.
Yeah,
true.
But yeah, and the other thing I thought was I thought in the third quarter, Shanahan went away from Christian McCaffrey. I think there was like two, in particular, that interception possession. I think there was like a drive or two where pretty much he had Purdy pass like almost every play.
Yeah, he had like 5 incompletions in a row.
Yeah, to me, the strength of that Chiefs team is their secondary and the pass rush with like Chris Jones and the kid from what the hell? I can never say his name. What's it? Karlaftis. How do you say it?
George Karlaftis.
There you go. Say that 5 times. Yeah, say that 5 times.
Karlaftis.
Yeah, there you go. All right, but anyway, their pass rush and their coverage is the strength. So I was a little surprised that the 49ers didn't try to get Christian McCaffrey a little bit more involved. And I'll tell you what, as great a player as Trent Williams is, that might have been the worst game I've ever seen him have as a 49er. I mean, it started off, he had a false start, he had a holding. I mean, you watch 49ers games all year, you don't see Trent Williams even have one bad play a lot of times.
I thought Bosa had a really nice game for the Niners.
He did. Yeah.
See, I feel like he didn't lose contain on Mahomes at all. Mahomes got his yards running, but I feel like Bosa kept him in check majority of the game, and that's why I struggled for the first 3 quarters.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say Mahomes is the best quarterback ever. And every year the argument gets less and less and less.
He knows.
I'll be honest with you. I agree with you.
He knows when to throw. I mean, he's just. You hate to say it, he's becoming that new Tom Brady, the new QB. He's just so cool back
even
there,
Tom Brady and Joe Montana. I know they were great. Joe Montana beat 4 MVPs. For his 4 Super Bowls, he beat the 4 MVPs in the league.
True.
That's incredible. Tom Brady, incredible stats, but none of them did the shit that Patrick Mahomes did. None of them threw the rock, ran the way he ran, improvised the way Patrick Mahomes improvises. Like, it's just different watching him play. Not fair.
It's almost like you paused the game almost.
Yeah, he
just
just
that 15-yard run.
15-yard run. It's like he just slows everything down. He just gets the ball to who has to get the ball in the right play. It's always on point.
You know, hey, listen, I've always been the guy that says Brady's the GOAT. You know what I mean? And technically he's got the most rings, but you know, and of course I'm a Montana guy because I'm also a Notre Dame fan, so I love Montana, obviously, and Sean's a Notre Dame guy too, so Notre Dame fan too. So obviously we love Montana, but this kid Mahomes is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. I mean, he's a, you know what I would say he is? He is like, he has the mind. He's got the mind of a Brady / Peyton Manning, right? But yet he's got the physical attributes and he's got the arm of like a Elway and Marino, but also he can run like a Steve Young and even like an Elway. Elway could run back in the day, but Mahomes is a little faster. Like the dude.
Yep.
So I actually agree with you, Diego. I think the dude is the GOAT. He's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen because he's got the perfect mixture of the stuff mentally and also physically.
Agreed.
You know, he does things on that field I've never seen done. I mean, just the way he throws the ball, not looking. You know, he'll do what like. Perfect example, and this will take away, in my opinion, this takes the argument right there. He 2 years in a row. Last year he killed us with that run up the middle. He rushed for like 30 yards. He did the same thing this year.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yep.
As great as Tom Brady is, Tom Brady's not doing that.
No,
Brady ain't doing that.
Tom Brady beats you with his mind from the pocket. You know what I mean? Getting rid of the ball quick, getting the ball to the right guys, making the right decisions. Arguably, you could say Tom Brady's the best. You could say Tom Brady's the best game manager of all time. He knew how to manage the game perfectly, like better than anybody else. Mahomes is like someone who can fall into a huge jam, go down points, and he just makes crazy plays that we never seen made. Throwing left-handed, like you said. He'll switch hands, throw a complete pass left-handed. Never seen that before. No look, the shovel pass, all that stuff. Underhand passes. It's just, he's next level.
And you know, to take it on another way, you know, Belichick is known as like the GOAT coach. I know this is only Andy's third Super Bowl and 5 appearances. But the fact that Andy got to a Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb, and now he's won 3 Super Bowls and 4 with Mahomes. Is Andy Reid on track to possibly, with a few more championships, be on the way to be the greatest coach ever?
I'm going to say yes. By the end of Mahomes' career, I think Andy Reid is considered the best coach of all time.
Isn't that amazing? And all those 14 years in Philadelphia, all those wins, so close, and we didn't even get one. You believe that?
You know what? But Andy doesn't get these 3 without Philadelphia. You know, he had to learn. He had to know exactly what he wanted to do in his next job. All that failure leads to success. You know what I'm saying? He went and got his quarterback, and it all worked out for him. That's why I wanted KC to win. I don't hate Kansas City. Everyone's like, "Oh, watch them win again." And I don't really hate on them. I don't mind watching them win.
Well, I mean, listen, I like Reid and I like Mahomes. So I got no problem with, you know, I mean, I watched that quarterback show last year, and you know, Mahomes seems like a good dude, and like when you watch his teammates talk about him, all his teammates love him. They're like, "Oh yeah, Pat's our dude." You know what I mean? So here's Maurice Wright with a comment here. He says, "I guess Andy and his staff adjusted during halftime. It paid off. I don't think McCaffrey was going to break one or win it for the 49ers. Michael Kaepernick Jr. with another comment. He kind of touches off what we said.
Yeah.
Mahomes is a combination of Montana, Elway, Brady, Peyton, and Rodgers. Totally agree.
Yeah,
Dave Yornell says Montana is the GOAT, always and forever, the best. Dave, I'd love to say that, and obviously this is very subjective. You know what? I'll tell you. You know what Montana was? I'll say this about Montana, and Sean, you probably agree with me. Montana was probably the toughest son of a bitch that ever played quarterback.
You could throw the kitchen sink at him, and he's getting back up and coming back at you for more. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
remember two games in particular. 1989 49ers at the Eagles. Buddy Ryan's Eagles defense sacked him 10 times, and the Eagles had a 10-point lead going in the fourth quarter. We kicked his ass. Fourth quarter, he threw 4 touchdown passes, Diego. 4.
Damn.
All right.
That's a hard piece.
Then there was another game. There was a playoff game in 1993. Joe Montana's playing for the Chiefs, again against Buddy Ryan. It was Buddy Ryan's Houston Oilers defense. And that was a good Oilers team, and they were at the House of Pain. Again, he was getting his ass kicked, dude. End of the game, Montana hung in there, hits Sean, I think his name was Wendell Davis, or was Wendell Davis the guy from the Bears? Whoever it was, there was a guy from the Chiefs. He was like a little skinny receiver.
Wendell Davis was the guy from the Bear that blew out both his knees.
All right, well, I forget the receiver from the Chiefs, but I think his name was Wendell too or something. But anyway, Montana hits him, right on stride, dude, in the end zone like this. And boom, hits him right on stride, dude. And guess what? They won that football game. And Montana was a tough motherfucker, man.
Yeah, I hear that. Tough.
Michael Kaepernick Jr., Terry Bradshaw was tough. Yeah, he was. He got his ass kicked.
The thing is, though, one thing about that, though, if you weren't tough back when Terry Bradshaw played football, you couldn't play football.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You could literally go through every team, every position back in the day and be like, that dude was tough. That dude was tough. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't be on that field. You had to be able to get punched in your mouth, like literally.
Yeah, Maurice right here, he says KC is probably going back to the Super Bowl. This is about to be a dynasty in the making. Yeah, well, I mean, shoot, you think about it, it's already a dynasty. I mean, this kid Mahomes came in 18. He's been in the championship game every year. So you figure what? Championship game 18, Super Bowl champs 19, Super Bowl loss 20, Super Bowl AFC championship game 21, and then Super Bowl champs 22 and 23. I mean, shit, you can't do much more than that.
No, you can't. Mahomes it's insane.
Willie Davis.
That's it. Okay. You know what's funny? I knew his name was either Wendell or the last name was Davis. Yeah, so it was Willie Davis. Okay, that's who he hit. Yeah.
You know one thing about this team,
and they played.
It wasn't even one of their best of the 2 Super Bowls that they won prior to this one. The team was in shambles most of the year. Drop passes, didn't know who the wide receiver core was going to be. Travis Kelce wasn't being productive. Mahomes looked the worst he ever looked. You're like, okay, this is Josh Allen's year, or this is Lamar Jackson's year. And then Mahomes tells you week, I think 14 or 15, he's like, I promise you, I'm going to get this together by the time the playoff time comes. What happens? That's goat shit.
He did. But like I said, though, as great as Mahomes is, Spags in that defense deserves a lot of credit. I mean, the teams they beat, I think I saw a stat. All 3 teams averaged like 27 or 28 points a game in the regular season. And
17.
What's that?
17 in the first 3 games. He held them 3 offenses.
Yeah, I mean that's like elite level defensive play and elite level defensive coordinator stuff.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Especially in today's NFL. And then the other thing is too, like you said, the Chiefs, this wasn't even their best team, yet they go on the road, they win at Buffalo and at Baltimore. And then the 49ers, by most people's accounts, 49ers were probably the most talented team in the National Football League as far as like man for man. Like, 45-man roster, most people would say the 49ers, if not the most talented, top 3. I mean, you
definitely
would say
I would say the most talented.
Yeah, I mean, who else would you say? Maybe
absolutely.
Them, Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? Like, but either way, they're right up there.
Well, arguably, the quarterback was playing MVP football. The running back could have been an MVP also. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, both top 20 wide receivers in the league. Their offensive line top 3, and their defense arguably the best in the league.
Yeah.
Team was the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, the only weakness they had this year as compared to last year was their secondary wasn't quite as good. They lost that safety, the Samoan kid.
Yeah,
Short. What's that?
Otupa, something like that.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
To a pectoral or a tricep injury. Yeah, losing him was
Yeah, that was a big loss too.
That was a big loss.
He was leading the league in interceptions.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was a big loss.
Yeah. You know, it was funny. Did you guys see some of the memes some of the memes on the Super Bowl were like so funny. Did you see? I saw somebody put on X on Twitter or whatever it was, saying like, oh, the 49ers would have won the Super Bowl if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt last year. You know what I mean? Like, So I got to admit, I don't mind seeing that because they did whine a lot. So I can't really say that I mind seeing them lose. So
especially Debo. Debo opened up a can of worms.
I know, right?
So the best bet was just to keep your mouth shut and play the game. But
I hear you. But real quick though, I mean, just to finish off the football here. A little bit of Eagles news yesterday. What do you guys think of? It came out that the team's given Hassan Reddick permission to seek a trade.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, do you think do you think he actually will get traded?
Yes and no. I mean, he wants that signing bonus money, but to me, it all comes down to Howie. And I think the three of us said it. Howie is not a football guy. He has too much power in his grasp. He's a good numbers guy, can fix that contract, this and that. We'll do it for Reddick. But also, he can't draft for shit. The only guy that has basically from him drafting, we got to give him some time with the Georgia Bulldog guys that he drafted, whatever, see how they pan out. But Josh Sweat is the most notable edge rusher, defensive guy that he's drafted. All the other guys, Patrick Johnson, Kyron Johnson, Teron Jackson or Johnson, gone or practice squad. He lets guys like C.J. Gardner-Johnson go, T.J. Edwards, and then he gets these plug-and-play players like the three of us said. It's ridiculous. Get guys that are going to be molded here, be here, and that they fit the system, because it obviously showed this season and, with the coaching. I mean, we definitely got to draft linebackers and cornerbacks. I don't give a shit. The time is now. Whether it's 2 or like you said, Joey, go out, get Brian Burns via free agency. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Get that guy.
Why? I don't think we could afford him. I mean, honestly, what I think is, I just think it's a money thing. I mean, if I think they'll let Hassan see if he could work out a deal with somebody else. And because, you think about it, like the Eagles have to re-up Landon Dickerson. The Eagles got Devontae Smith's contract coming up. I mean, they really just can't afford to pay Hassan Reddick $25 million a year. And listen, I like Hassan Reddick, and losing him would definitely be a key loss to the defense. But I'll put a scenario out to you guys. So what if you could trade Hassan Reddick for a second-round pick, right? Maybe a second this year and maybe like a fourth next year or something like that, right? Or a fifth next year, whatever.
Yes.
So here, that gives you 1 first and 3 second-round picks. Then in turn, in free agency, maybe you go after a guy like that guy Van Ginkel, right, in Miami, who knows
True. Okay.
his face.
Fangio. Yeah.
There you go. Fangio's scheme, because Fangio might run a 3-4, right? So maybe you go get a guy like a Van Ginkel for 2 years, say 15 to 16 mil, right? Not per, but I'm saying total. So here you're saving money. Yeah, you're losing because Hassan Reddick has 10, 11 sacks. Maybe you get 8 sacks out of Van Ginkel. And in the meantime, you have 3 second-round picks. Maybe you get yourself an offensive lineman, an edge rusher, and a corner, and then you kind of work your salary cap. What do you guys think of that?
I'd be fine with that.
I'd be fine with that, but I want linebackers. Diego brought up, who the hell knows with Nakobe Dean? You know what I mean? He's undersized.
Yeah. Malik Wright says, I'm cool with Hassan.
Injured.
I'm cool with Hassan leaving.
He's safe, but Seth Joyner season.
Yeah. Free up the millions, draft a player that will be cheap. Here we go. I agree with Malik, but the only problem is that is the player we draft going to be another Nolan Smith? I mean, we don't even know if Nolan Smith can play. You know what I mean?
No, I want, like I told you before, we'll talk about it come draft time. I want the kid Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M, Trotter's son, or Peyton Wilson. And then there's this guy, Cedric Gray, the kid's a tackling machine from North Carolina. We'll talk about that later on. But they are the guys that could be molded and be a staple here.
The thing is, dude, when you invest a draft pick that high on a guy like Nolan Smith, you have to kind of go with him as being the next guy up for Hassan Reddick. If Hassan Reddick goes,
exactly. You didn't draft him. Just to draft him.
The same exact way they're going to convince themselves that Kobe Dean can still play.
Yeah, I think that might be a mistake, but
it is a mistake because the Kobe Dean's trash.
Michael Kaepernick Jr. with a comment here. He says the Eagles don't have to sign or trade Reddick. He has one more year on his deal. That's true. Another comment here. I know Josh Sweat's contract is coming up, so I don't think the Eagles can afford to lose Reddick and Sweat. Yeah, but the only problem is though we're going to have some salary cap issues, and like you said, Diego, you took Nolan Smith in the first round, so maybe as much as we may not think he's ready, maybe they need to take a year and see if he can play. He might just have to be baptism by fire.
I agree.
Dave Yornell says, "Hey Sully, here's a name for you that Montana torch, Izell Jenkins." Yeah, we remember number 46.
I think he got toasted by everybody.
Izell Toast Jenkins, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how about Eric Allen, real quick, getting snubbed on the Hall of Fame? Come on, man. Just like when we had Ray Dittinger, his ass got to get in, man. So.
Maurice Wright, Diego, you made a great point. I guess that's about Nolan Smith having to play.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not ready to write that kid off just yet. I mean, the one thing I'll say is his last game versus Tampa Bay, he was one of the few guys that actually did make a few plays out there.
Yeah, he did.
True.
He had a couple nice rushes.
The kid's athletic. He's athletic. That's one thing he definitely is. He looks undersized, and he doesn't look like he has much in the bag right now when it comes in terms of moves. You know what I mean? Like Hassan Reddick has moves on the end. He uses his hands. He has an inside spin. He has a motor, so hopefully he can add things to his bag. And I feel like that's really what it depends. So they might take a year to see if he can add the stuff to his bag as he goes. Like Joe said, baptism by fire.
Well, and also if you're like Maurice Wright says, they're letting guys walk because they're looking to put the young dudes they drafted. And the other thing is too, if Fangio is more into a 34, so next year we could be looking at Jordan Davis at the nose, rotating with the kid with the long name, Tuiapu, whatever the hell his name is. And then you got Jalen Carter at one end, Milton Williams at another end. And then they'll probably, with all these picks, they're probably going to draft a D lineman. It might not be necessarily first or second round, but they may draft another. What's that?
From Texas. Jomo from Texas. But he's going to be high on him.
Yeah, but he's going to be a high pick, though, right?
No, he's already on the team. Jomo. We drafted him last year.
I got you. The kid from last
Jomo.
year.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Well, you know, I mean, they're going to have to they're going to have to, you know, they're going to have to do this, you know. Got a comment from Out of the Box Sports. I think this is Paul. He says, "How do you feel about Mike Zimmer, new DC? I feel best available since Vrabel was even looked at. I think time has passed him by. 3 years out of the league, game evolves each year." And hang on one more time. He says, "Sorry, that was me about Zimmer. What's up, fellas? The touchback hit payday. Nice." You know, I think with defensive coordinators, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like old heads can be successful being defensive coordinators. Seems like the
because defense hasn't really changed much. You know what I mean? 3-4, like zone, like it's real. A lot of defensive coordinators run the same shit. It's about having the players to make that defensive scheme successful. Offense, you can really drizzle in some creativity on offense, you know?
Yeah.
Intertwine routes, you know, like change run motion. You can do a lot on offense. That's why I feel like the younger guys are a little more innovative, you know? They see what the older guys brought and they learn and evolve from that.
Yeah. Here's an issue right here. Michael Kaepernick Jr. says, "The problem with Smith is if Fangio was going to a 3-4, how will Nolan Smith do dropping in the coverage when he was more defensive end?" Yeah, that's true. But then again, though, I mean, a lot of these three, like I look at it like this, for example, like back in the day, remember the Saints back in the day with like Pat Swilling and Ricky Jackson? I feel like they mostly rushed the passer. And Pittsburgh, you got TJ Watt. Like, yeah, he may drop back periodically, but doesn't he mostly rush the passer? Like, I feel like Nolan Smith's role would be to rush the passer, and maybe the other linebacker they have, or I feel like a lot of those guys would be mostly rush guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
True.
But you know, I mean, hey, listen, you know, we got a long off season coming, you know, for football or whatever. But you know, with football season, actually the physical part of the games ending, you know, we're kind of getting into some basketball here. And, you know, we had a big NBA trade deadline. Sixers, you know, Daryl Morey made a couple big moves. You know, so what do you guys think? First off, like what do you guys think of the Buddy Hield trade, the campaign trade? And also a hometown guy coming back, Kyle Lowry. What's your guys' thoughts? Is there any hope without Joel Embiid? Can this team get like maybe 11 to 12 to 13 wins to get that 6th seed?
Well, getting all these guys in without having to waste a first-round pick is the biggest thing to me. Mm-hmm. You know, you made your team better and you kept your assets. Like Buddy Hield, upgrade. Payne, upgrade, and Kyle Lowry, upgrade. We lost Pat Bev, and I see a lot of people, I can't believe we lost Pat Bev. Pat Bev is a pesky defender. That's about it. He's a 32% three-point shooter. He doesn't stretch the floor. He doesn't help him beat out when Embiid's in the game. We got guys who can help him beat when they're playing with him.
Yeah, I hear you. So, I mean, listen. Here's my thought. I mean, like I was talking about this. I was talking about this the other day. I have a theory that if Joel can come back, because what was the prognosis? They said they're going to reevaluate him in 4 weeks.
Yeah,
so
4 weeks.
They're hoping maybe. Yeah, so they're hoping maybe he comes back with maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks left in the season, right?
Yep.
Okay, so if he does come back,
well, if he gets back on the court if he's back to play in 8 weeks, he has 3 weeks.
Okay, so if he comes back,
basketball shape too.
All right, but here's my thought: if Milwaukee can keep struggling, like because the Knicks and the Cavs are both playing great basketball, right? Now, if Milwaukee can keep struggling a little bit longer, it's possible that the Knicks and the Cavs could be the 2 and the 3 seed. Milwaukee could be a 4 seed. So if you could get Joel Embiid back at, say, he might not be 100%. Say you get Embiid back at like 90%, right? 85, not, good enough to be still pretty dominant. If the Sixers could get that 6 seed and Milwaukee winds up 4, the Sixers literally I could see a path to the Eastern Conference Finals where they don't have to play Milwaukee or Boston until then, because if you're the 6 seed, you play the 3rd seed. So that would either be New York or Cleveland. And then in the second round, you play either New York or Cleveland. I got to be honest with you. With a mostly healthy Joel Embiid and with these acquisitions, I think the Sixers could beat both those teams.
I agree. I think they're better in both those teams with Embiid.
What
do you think, Sean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Here's a concern here. Maurice Wright says, need a big man. Rebounds are crucial, especially if you're shooting jumpers all day. Well, I mean, there's who's in the buyout more? Because they could use another big guy. Isn't like Robin Lopez in the buyout market?
Yes, he is.
So maybe they could get a guy like that. I mean, it's kind of buyout market's kind of feast or famine, but maybe they could use another body. I mean, I was hoping they would get Andre Drummond. I read somewhere the Sixers had a trade worked out for Drummond, but the Bulls, they're such a ridiculous franchise.
They stop.
And the Bulls didn't want to make the trade because they were trying to get a big guy, But I'll tell you, can I tell you guys about it? Let me tell you guys about somebody that is pretty successful though. My man Jason Fine. Like anybody out there, if you get an injury, like Joel Embiid's hurt. Obviously he doesn't need Jason Fine. He wipes his ass with $100 bills, so he don't need him. But if you get hurt on the job and you need to get paid, you better call my man Jason Fine, aka Attorney Big Al. He's got 3 offices throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So 1 in Philadelphia, 1 in Cherry Hill, and 1 in Pittsburgh. So make sure you call my man, get yourself paid. So, but anyway, yeah. So, by the way, too, I didn't get to see the game the other night, but that some of the young guys showing out a little bit. Did you guys see that Ricky Council?
He had 19 points and a huge steal at the end of the game.
Yeah. So, I guess I guess if there's I guess if there's one positive to having all these injuries or whatever is at least it gives some other guys chances to play.
All right. See what you got at the end of that bench.
Yeah, but
yeah.
So I don't know. Let's hope that let's hope that the team can somehow, I mean, let me look at the standings real quick, because I think Diego, you said we had maybe a 4 or 5 game lead on the 6 seed.
Less now.
Yeah, it probably is, right?
Less now. I think Indiana's only 2 games behind us.
Okay, that's
Indiana's
a tough one.
30 and 24.
What a wait.
All right, so I'm looking at it here. Sixers are 31 and 21. Indiana. Shit. You know what? See, this is going to be tough because
Indiana, Miami, and Orlando are all going to finish better than us.
Well, if they do, then that means the Sixers are going to be a play-in team.
They are.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think they are.
Yeah. See, I'm trying to see a scenario where somehow the Sixers could be a 6 seed, but I mean. See, I feel like we have 30. Like, I look at it like this: we got 31 wins. I feel like you got to get to 40. I feel like you got to get to 44 to have it. 44 or 45 to have a chance at the 6. Can they get 13 more wins? That's gonna be.
I don't know. 13 more wins. How many games are left?
There's 52.
30?
There's
30 games? 30 games?
30 games.
Man, they're in a tough spot.
Yeah,
So that
They
means
could, they could go 15-15.
nah, without Embiid, I don't. Well, then again, if Embiid comes back the last couple weeks, but see,
All right.
but then we run into the problem that he's not going to be necessarily in basketball shape.
She still makes an impact, not even being 100%.
Maurice Wright says Cancel was on the bench all season. What's that about? Lets you know something is wrong with the organization. Yeah, the only problem is though, I mean, if you look, the Sixers actually were kind of deep this year though. Like, I mean, I'm all for shitting on the Sixers for bad decisions, but like, who were you going to sit? I mean, you had Oubre out, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, unless Council was absolutely destroying dudes in practice, like, why would they play Council? They're not going to play Council over Oubre. Like, you know, I'm not the biggest, like, you know, like Daniel House has NBA experience. Kork Maz has NBA experience. Like, you know, unless Council's like destroying them cats, like they weren't going to play him in front of those guys.
I agree.
You know?
they got 30 games left.
Yeah, see, the problem is without Embiid, I don't see us being good enough to be like 13 and 17 would get us to 44 wins. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that.
Same. I don't think we are.
Yeah, see, that's a problem. And then you got and then right now, like the Bucks and the Knicks, like Bucks and Knicks are nip and tuck for the third and the fourth. The Bucks are 34-19. The Knicks are 33-20. But the Knicks had OG just got hurt, so that's going to hurt them.
Right.
Here's hoping the Doc Rivers effect stays in play, and Milwaukee keeps. You know, Milwaukee's 4-6 in the last 10. They've blown a lot of these games, so here's hoping that somehow they get the 4 seed. Well, actually, you know, to be honest with you, my theory, as long as we win the play-in, my theory still rings true, even if we're the 7 seed. You know, it only doesn't work if we're the 8. If we're the 8 seed, then we gotta beat Boston, then Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But
True.
Let's keep it
Look,
real.
I look at it this way: if you finish 7 or 8, you play Boston or Milwaukee. You get to knock one of the top 2 teams out of the playoffs. You got to beat the best to beat the best. You're going to see these teams eventually anyway.
That's true.
And especially with this team, where we have the home field advantage. We're going to have to go on the road no matter what, you know? So it's going to be tough for us anyway. We have to look at it this way. If we haven't beat, we can beat anybody anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
And now with Buddy Hield and all the guys around him, I feel like the team is built relatively well around Embiid. So, I mean, if they're the best team with Embiid, then they're the best team anywhere with Embiid.
Yeah, and you know, the Miami, I mean, home court's always going to be important in the NBA, but I mean, Miami showed us last year. You
just got to steal one. You just got to steal one on the road. Take care of business at home.
Right, and also look at those Boston series, dude. First off, our series versus Boston, we won 2 games up in Boston. They won 2 games here, right? Then the Miami series, the road team won like every game practically.
Like every game.
Yeah. So
just about. You're right.
So, you know, if you think about it, I mean, home court isn't quite as prevalent as it was, say, 20, 30 years ago.
Right. It's not, I mean, it's not when you have the best player in the world. We have to expect he can steal a game on the road if need be.
Remember back in the day, I mean, I know.
You have to have, absolutely.
Remember back in the day, I mean, I know this was the GOAT and it was Jordan, so it's not really a fair comparison, but it didn't matter where those Bulls teams played you. I mean, you know, Utah, Phoenix was an extremely tough place to play.
Utah
was a very tough place to play. New York was a very tough place to play. It didn't matter to Jordan. He beat you anywhere. He didn't care.
All right.
Yeah, Portland. Yeah, exactly. That was a tough place to play too. It didn't matter. Oh yeah, I mean, that was when basketball was great, though. Remember?
He had ice in his veins, man.
I know. No, it's funny. We just talked about New York, and I was having flashbacks to like when Reggie Miller was arguing with Spike Lee. How great that was! I loved basketball back then, dude. Oh,
yeah. He said you
joke artist. Yeah,
that was great, man. That was
basketball, man. Like from the defense, from the offense, you just had the scores went back and forth, man. That's what it was all about. Now it's the dribbling, no defense, and 3-pointers.
Well, that's why, like to Diego's point about Pat Bev, like I liked Pat Bev's leadership, and he seemed like a good dude. But like you said, Diego, it was like they were acting like we traded AI. Meanwhile, Pat Bev's a nice story and all, but he only shot like 30% from three. I mean, Campaign shoots close to 38, 39% from three. And then we signed Kyle Lowry, who can do the same shit that Pat Bev did.
All right. Yeah, Tobias Harris is out.
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with him?
I know.
I'll tell you. Hold on.
You know what's funny? He played like all 82 games like every year he was here, and now all of a sudden he's like never in the lineup.
I know. Makes no sense.
Well, he is a free agent at the end of the year, so maybe it's personal preservation.
Because what?
Hip. His hip.
What the hell? He ain't that old.
Right. Jeez. Melton's still out.
I know. I was almost asking if Melton was still alive.
He got like a spine injury.
What's that?
He had a spine injury or something like that.
Remember that meme? Remember that meme where they asked Tyson, "Yo, hey Mike, how are you?" He's like, "Are you all right?" He's like, "It's spinal."
Yeah.
Spinal. Oh my God. All right. Well, you know what? Hey, that's a lot to say. Look, before we bounce out of here, how about some props to the Flyers, man? Remember the last time we did this show, they were coming off of the All-Star break and 5 straight losses, and since then they have 3 straight wins. They're not right now.
Yep. They're young. They're young. They're hungry. That's how they play.
Yeah, a young, hungry team, man.
You got them
in hockey. That matters. In hockey, that matters. Like in basketball, you could be a young, hungry team. You play against a veteran team, you get smashed. You're not ready for that. But in hockey, a young, hungry team can make some noise.
And good coaching.
And good coaching.
Carla's a good coach.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to the Flyers. I think they play Arizona tonight, I think.
Tonight, 7 o'clock, they're favorites.
Arizona.
Yeah, tonight. Yep.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah. Flyers with a big week. They play Arizona tonight. February 15th, they're in Toronto, and then February 17th, actually this weekend, is the Stadium Series game. They'll be playing up at MetLife Stadium. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, so they play the Devils on Saturday night, national TV, 8 o'clock. So, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to watching that. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. Outside MetLife, that's gonna be really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so big week for them. Let me just. So, all right, what do you think? Those 3 games. What are the Flyers doing? What's our record?
2-1.
Okay. I think they win tonight. I think tonight. I say 2-1 also. I think they make it 4 straight tonight. Maybe they take an L in Toronto. Toronto could be a tough place to play.
And they beat the Devils.
And they beat the Devils up there. Yeah, I can see that. All right, cool. All right, well, listen. And also the Phillies had a nice little under the radar signing yesterday. By the way, I was reading about this kid. They signed some guy, a pitcher by the name of, I think his name is Spencer Trumbull. He used to be a top prospect with Detroit.
Trumbull.
Yeah, he's got great stuff, but he had Tommy John surgery, and So we'll have to see. He hasn't really done anything. He's been injured. But
Hey, Hoffman was one of them guys that were like a question mark last year. You picked him up, look what he did. So you never know. In the MLB, you can never have too many arms.
Yeah, and you know what? And you think about it, I think with after watching guys like Suarez develop, Christopher Sanchez develop, like you said, Hoffman, and even Alvarado. Alvarado had a great arm in Tampa Bay, but he was wild as fuck, right? Well, the Phillies worked with him, and now Alvarado's a top 9 or 10 relief pitcher in baseball. So I think we have to start giving the Phillies pitching coach a little bit of props because he does a good job with these guys.
Absolutely.
So that's one of those under the radar signings that maybe by the time June and July come around, we're like, yo, this Trumbull kid's pretty good.
Right. Exactly.
So. But we'll get into a lot more baseball as the week comes on. I know pitchers and catchers is coming up. It's coming up probably this coming week, I think. Right?
Yeah.
It is.
All right, so we'll start getting into some baseball talk, and and obviously NFL, combines coming up, NFL free agencies coming up, and of course basketball. So. Hey, football may be over, but let's keep it real, guys. Football's never over. There's always something to talk about football, So, all right, listen. Everybody out there, have a great week. Go Sixers, go Flyers, and have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Peace, guys.